So for the belting system, it's fairly easy. You start from here on this edge, from the left, you put your belt through it, so the ribble side has to face you. If this is the front of the printer, this has to face you, so you just go around it, you just push it around, and then you place these two all together, like, you know, you make them flat as possible, and then this tightener, you just push it over it, so it's secure. This is secure now, and then you route your cable right here, and here is a pulley, like threaded pulley. You go around that, you know, behind it, and then you come here, and once you're on this position, which is the front left side, you have to go through it, and you have to actually look at the alignment. This is like if it's the upper bit or the lower bit. If it's the upper bit, you can only align it with the motor here. So you go around the motor in the front, you make this loop, so it's a bit fiddling, but you make the loop, but you don't go continue, you just make this half O circle, and then you go around the toothless pulley in front, but it's on the back side of here, you see? And then you go to the right side. Then when you're at the right side, you come here, and then you go through pulley with the tooth on the right hand side here, you go around it, and then the belt's tooth will go around it, and then you go straight through here. There is a hole here on the side. You go through that hole, you go all the way to the back, and on the back you make a circle, half circle, like that, and you come around, back out there, and then you come around this toothless pulley again, you go behind it, and you route it to the tool head again, just like here, and then you connect it on the back side of it this time. That is one side of your belt. And for the other side, you do the same one as you did on the left. You put first one of these tighteners in, like here, so it has to stand here, and then you go with the front bit, you just make the loop here, you go in, and then you secure it with this tightener. You just, you know, make this really flat, and then you push it through it until you come here. That's secure then, and then you route your cable behind here, this pulley with teeth. You go around there, you come to the front here, to the motor this time, you go around your motor, just like the first time we did. You make a round circle, half circle, and then you go around the toothless pulley. You make this motion. See, you go like around the motor pulley with the teeth, and then you toothless motor, you go around it. So the toothless pulley is behind it, so the cable is in front of it. Then you go to the left side. You route your cable to the left side here, and then you go to the pulley with teeth on the other side here. You go around it, so this is like, you know, pulling against it, and then you go through the hole in front here as well, and then you go to the front, and then you go around this pulley with teeth again. Let me get this a little closer. So you go around this pulley, and you go around the back side of here, and you go all the way to the back. When you're at the back, you make the half circle again around the motor in the back left side, and then you come all the way to the back here, and you go around this pulley which has no teeth. You go around behind it, and you make your half circle here, and you come to the back side of your toolhead assembly, and you secure it just like we did on the front. That's it. It's really simple, guys. The only place that you might have a little difficulty is on the fronts, because you have to make this circle and then go around the pulley. But that's something you just, you know, keep on trying, and it does work. You know, first time it was a little bit harder, and the second time I did it, like for the other side, was much easier. It took me like 5 minutes to do that for the whole thing. So it took me around 15 minutes to do the whole thing, so it's fairly easy.
Introducing PCBWay.com, the online one-stop shop for all your electronic ambitions. Need circuit technology or small-run manufactured parts, PCBs, 3D prints or CNC millings in PLA, ABS or aluminium, and a whole rainbow of colour options. Upload your specs, approve the design, pay and await express delivery. Fair pricing, no minimum orders, and total control throughout. Contact our design team at PCBWay.com.
So now we're going to secure our shroud here to the tool head, and for that we need spacers, these, and also M3x30. They were in the kit now included, but they're not labeled, so the ones who are not labeled, there are 2 of them. Those are the M3x30s. You can just measure it if you don't trust it. This part needs to go through between here and the gantry here, and you have to loosen these two bolts here so that you adjust it on the right height. So you put it right here, and then you get through the hole in the bottom with your M3x30. Maybe we should have got through first. There we go. Now we're gonna push this in there, just like that, and now we're gonna get through it. That's it. So now it's really secure, and you do it on the left side as well. That's it. Let me tighten this one up. So this is on the right height now. Now it's really secure, it's not going anywhere. So these are the screws that you have to loosen a bit so that this portion can go up and down. And once you just loosen those up and then you tighten these, put your M3x30s in there with the spacers, and then tighten these back up. That's it. Next we're going to assemble extruder onto the tool head, which is just with two M3x5 ultra low profile, which are these. You can see this is the ultra low profile from the side. So it's basically really easy. You just put it on here, and these are the two holes, which is this one. That's it. Now we're going to tighten this one up. There we go. And now we take the second one, second M3x5 ultra low profile, and put it in the other bolts room here. That's it. There we go. Next we're going to do the Goliad tool head on there. So this one, you will need a 22mm PTFE tubing, cut on size. So you just push it in to the middle, just like that, flush. And then you will need two M3x6 bolts. You will also have to put this portion, that is a CNC, also in box C, on here. So just follow the direction that I'm showing, just like this. There's one side that is larger than the other side, so like this. That's the side you have to put it in. To put this on here, you need M2.5x5. You just put them here. So you just push it in this way, and you take your M3x6 and line it up and turn this around. It's not that easy, but that's it. That's one. And then we need to do the other side as well. This side is easier. That's it. So our Goliath is also on the tool head. So next we have the back plate. We have to put the power supplies on the back plate and these rails on the back plate. But for the rails you have to make some holes, otherwise you won't be able to fit them, and you can choose wherever you make the holes. I choose this way because many people and many sources say that this is like the right, like easiest way to do it. So you can choose, it's all up to you, however you want them. Apparently Mellow was making the holes up front, but then people voted to not make the holes so that everyone can choose where they place the components in the back of the printer. So I made it this way and it works for me. So I have to talk to you guys about the placing of your power supplies. On the left we have the 24 volts and on the right 48 volts power supply. And you have to make sure that the inserts where you put your cabling in for your powers has to look inwards like this, so that it's easier for you to route your cables to your power supplies. Also, you need to get these, print these TPUs. You have two bigger ones and three little ones, and you have to place them for routing your cables so that your cables are not damaged by the movements or by routing the cables. So make sure you make those because they are important if you don't want a short because your cable is damaged in time. That's it for now, and the back plate is like this, and we can build onto the back plate, but first we're going to put the bottom plate on there. So all the rest of the component is going to come here, and that's it. So let's move on to the next step. So the back plate is on the VZBot now, and what we had to do is use rolling T-nuts here and here as well, and here as well, actually everywhere. But rolling T-nuts is for the back plate, as I just said, and you will need to use M4 by 10 on these printed parts here, and for all the rest of it, it's M4 by 8. And I just assembled all of them, and really rigid. And now we're going to do the bottom lid. So for the bottom bit, you will need to use these feet that you printed before, and these feet that you have printed have also these rubbers that it needs to go in there. So I will just take it apart just to show you what it looks like. So this is what it looks like. So this is the printed part, and this is the original part, 6mm thick, adjusted to 3mm, otherwise the M4 by 20 wasn't getting through. So I just remixed this one to this. So you can do that in your slicer very easily and just make it 3mm. Well, it works for me, so it might work for you as well. You just put these spacers in there, and then you put your M4 by 20 through here, and then you get through here, through the hole, just like that. And on the other side, you just need an M4 nut. So now we're just going to put it back together, just screwing it in. Make sure it's like really in the middle. That's it. And try to not, make this flush as possible, because we're going to put this onto the frame and we want it as flush as possible. So after you have done this, you will need two M4 by 20s again. So you need to put them through this hole and this hole. We're not using this one, so we're just pushing it through. Let's use our screwdriver to do that. There we go. And the other one as well, just pushing it through. There we go. As you can see, these came through, and you need to use T-nuts on here first through the frame. I'll now show you how to do that. So on this edge, we need to orient it on this side like this. So as you can see, it's sticking out. So we need to get through here, those two holes. And on the other side of it, you just put the T-nut on there. Don't turn it too many times, because the 20mm M4 is not really the right size in my opinion. I think it needs to be 25 at least for it to, or 25mm would have been perfect, but this works too. So we're not going to complain about that. So as you guys also can see, I didn't take the film off because this is going to be on the bottom bit, so we don't need to take these off. And the other side was clean enough to use inside of the bottom of the printer. Put the same manner on all corners. You still have to do it on these bits in the middle. So just the M4 by 8 on one side, just a bolt here, and a T-nut on the other side, 4 times on the middle points. And if you have done that, then it's time to fit it onto the bottom of your printer. So guys, I put the bottom plate on the printer, and if this works from the first time around, go play the lottery, because you're very lucky. To align every corner here at the same time and the middle points is not easy, but it's, if you just have someone who's helping you around, it might be better, because you have to check that the T-nuts are on the right order. But if you just put one side on, that's what I learned. If you put one side on and then just bend it just tiny bit on the corners here and there, then you can align everything like bit by bit. That's fine. Don't just bend the aluminium itself, just tiny bit of bending, so you have like gaps like this, and you can see it perfectly, and you can just adjust it the right side you need to put it into extrusion. So that's it. So now the bottom bit is installed as well, and there is no rattling. That's really nice. So guys, the next part is the flyboard Super 8 Pro from Mellow. It was also inside of the kit for VZBot 330, of course. So I'm going to just run through all the things that you have to do in order to prep this board to put on the printer. So first things first, you need to put these DIN rail mounts on there that we have printed, these two. So from the other side, you just go in with M3 by 8s, and here on the other end you need to use M3 nuts. That's it, and the orientation is this way. So this is the sticking out part, and this is the flat part, just like that, 2 of them. And then we put the board on there with M3 by 6 on the corners here, right here. And then we have to install these fuses here So you have two here, blue ones, and then a red one, and then another blue one that is going onto the side in horizontal orientation. And these are different fuses. These are the 15s, the blue ones are the 15s, and the red one is the 10, number 10. So in this orientation, everything needs to be installed as well. And then we're going to install the TMC drivers, the 5160, the ones that also on the kit, these ones. I left the last one out so we can do the installation together. So just take it out of the package, of course, and then open it up. Take your heatsink, all the parts out of it. So the TMC driver is here. You just have to take it off. There are some stuff in there as well. Don't lose those. These two. So the orientation is, of course, this way, but I always found out, because I installed already 3 of them, I found out that it's easiest to put everything on there first, the ribbon cables and everything, and then install it, and then put the ribbon cables. I'm going to demonstrate it. Just take this out, and you have to cover these chips all here, like there are 8 of them, as you guys can see, 8 of these chips, and you have to cover all of them. So make sure you just line it up really good. So I'm going to try to line it up. So I put it flat onto this side, so it can't go away, and then I just line it up with one end of the chips, the bottom bit here. If I line it up with the chips on this side, it's automatically lining it up with the other end as well. And then I just press on it a little bit so that it sticks on there. Next step that we can do are the ribbon cables. So to install this, you have to check your board. This is if you ever have worked on a laptop or something, they use the same manner. So here are some latches that you have to pull back. Do not put too much force on them because they do tend to come off. So you just put them a little bit up so that they stay loose, so it's in the installation position. And then you take your ribbon cable. You see one side has these, you can see that it's shiny, and the other side is blue. You need to use this shiny bit, which is the connectors itself. You need to look onto the board, and you have to, it's on this side, so the same manner that I'm installing it is the correct way, because it has to make contact with these pins inside. So it's facing the heatsink this way, and then you just push it in onto this latch here. I'll try to show it as good as possible, just like that, and then you have to gently push it in so it sits, hold on, it sits flat, just like that. And what the best way is to hold this and then push this black bit, the latch, back in, because it has a tendency to push it back out, just like that. But if you have worked on a Raspberry Pi, you also know they also work with these kind of ribbons, so it should be familiar. That's it. So that's one cable, and now the other one, which is the thinner one, also on the same manner. The bit where the pins are open, not the blue side, has to go onto the pins, because I can see the pins inside. If you look really carefully, you see where the pins are located. So I take this latch a little bit up so it's installation position, and then I push this in gently, just like that, slide it in. Has to go halfway through, just like that. So as I'm holding it down with one hand, just like this, so that it can't push it back out, it's really hard to show you guys, but I just hold this down with this hand as flat as possible, just like that, and then I'm pushing it with 2 fingernails inside, so it should be clicked and should be flat as possible on this end. But the other end, you do see the blue bits are still sticking out. So this is, make sure it's secured, and after this we can place this onto the board in this orientation. This is the last one, as you guys can see, and then we're going to take the adapter here, open it up, and you have some protecting bits here. Take those off, they do slide really easily off, these white bits. That's it. So same manner, so same type of connectors, of course. You just pull these with not too much force backwards, so it's open for the installation. And then you have to put this in. But before that, I want to show you guys also, because it's kind of here. So let's put this aside. So you also need these black bits that's also into the kit here. I will show a picture now in the screen so you know which ones you have to use. So basically it's all these caps here that you have to install on the extruder and the Z motor, these two. I'll try to show. It's these. So you can also see, you have seen on the screen what I mean. You have to install these before you install actually these adapter bits, because you can't go after the installation there to install something. So that's also something you need to do beforehand. And then we just line this up so you see a blue part and a black part, and you see here 2 extra pins here. They have to come right line up with those. So it's really easy. The blue bit has to go into the blue side and the black bit has to go there. Be careful, guys. Sometimes they are a little bit bent, so don't push it like really hard. Make sure they all line up, because you will break it. So just like that. But as I said, what I like to do is first I put the ribbon cables in. So that's it. That's the installation of the ribbon cables. After I installed this, then I push it in, because it's easier for me. Maybe it works the other way around for you, but this is the way that works for me. And then I make sure I line everything up. All the pins are lined up, so I'm not pushing it like breaking anything. That's all 4 of them. And then we need to use M3 by 6 on these 2 here, because leave these outer bits out. I did it also on this end, because this part needs to come on top of here, just like that, like this. And you need to install these fans that also are in the kit on top of it, the fans on here, and connect them to these portions here, because you have to connect the fans to all of these. So for the next part, we also need to install all of these MOSFETs that come into the kit. They have 6 pins and they are most likely put together. You have to just break them into 2 where they're supposed to break, and one of them looks like this. So one should be looking like this, 6 pins, and they have to come here. I will show in this on the screen where exactly. So between the fan headers here, they have to be there. So this is great, because if anything happens to your fan, if you short the fans or whatever, your board doesn't break but the MOSFET breaks. So you can just easily replace these, because you have also 1 extra in the package. So if anything goes wrong, or you have a bad one or something, you can just exchange it. And just line this up just like that. Do not force it in. After you line it in, it just should just slide in. 5 of them just right next to each other here, and that's it for the MOSFETs that also needs to be installed. So the next step is to install all these to get the fans on here. So we have to cut the wires shorter, because the wires are longer. So I had to cut this amount of this fans wire, so that's like around 20 centimeters. You have to cut so that the loop is as short as possible, and then you will have to install it right on top of it, just like this. So in order to make this installable, I used M2 heat inserts here, and I just put them on all 4 corners. As you can see, I just push them in, and I'm going to use M2 by 16 bolts. So these have to go in there, and then it's going to be secure. As you can see, I have done already 3 wires. So 1, 2, 3, and I just need the last one here, and that's going to come onto this JST plug here. And once it's in there and secured, I will have to push it right in here. And the orientation is, if this is the top of the board, then it's all red on going to the top of the board. So you have to use M3 bolts on top of here. So I use 2 on each fan, and this is just I think M3 by 10. M3 by 10, mount them in, and that's about it.